Hey, it's Kellen.
Tyson here.
And of course, AL. And on today's current game, Bird Box, the meaning and the hype.
This is Diversified Game.
A podcast giving entrepreneurial advice from a diverse and inclusive perspective with Kellen.
He may agree, he may oppose, and it's more than just race, it's about, ideas.
Tyson.
When you're going against the odds, you've got to be creative, you've got to innovate, you've got to stand out.
And AL.
Focus more on execution and application and less on excuses.
So, let the game begin.
All right, so I'll kick it off with just getting a little bit of background on Bird Box, okay? Bird Box, the author was Josh Malerman. The screenplay was written by Eric Heiserer, and the director of the film was Susan Bier or Bier. So Bird Box is a 2018 American post-apocalyptic thriller film directed by Susan Bier from a screenplay written by Eric Heiserer, based on Bird Box, the 2014 novel of the same name by Josh Malerman. The film follows a woman played by Sandra Bullock who, along with a pair of children dubbed Boy and Girl, which we'll get into that, must make it through the forest and river blindfolded to avoid supernatural entities which cause people who see them to die by suicide.
Yeah.
So let's get into that.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Kellen, that's it. I mean, yeah, I think it was. I think it was a good movie, or at least if I don't think it was a good movie, the hype would make me believe it was a good movie too. So the world may never know.
Now that movie was a good movie. Tina fell asleep on me, and when I come out to go to the kitchen, I was looking around the corner and I was looking hard, and full orange. Yeah, because I'll give it to you. Blindfolded, closed eyes, or sometimes you just got to be the sacrificial lamb.
That is funny.
That was part of. Now the sacrificial lamb part is a part of my issue. And by the way, people listening, this may have spoilers in it. It may not. I don't know. We're talking freely, and we're gonna pretend that all of you have seen it since Netflix said you have.
Right.
Well, explain why you say that.
So the reason why I say that is because right now there's a bit of controversy that can be found on Business Insider regarding the validity of the numbers that Netflix gives for its its version of their breakout movies. So right now Netflix said that the first week that over 45 million people out of their 110 or I think 110 million subscribers, somewhere around there, that 45 million of them watched Bird Box in the first 7 days of it coming out, which would be considered unprecedented on the Netflix platform. And so people are doubting that, but, with a grain of salt, they're using the old Hollywood metrics to try to debunk Netflix. So, but Netflix said that, approximately half of you should have seen the movie by now. So I'm just going to go with the people that listen to us is probably that half.
Right. Well, my word up. I got a couple problems with this off the rip. The movie itself and the Netflix platform is being overly scrutinized, and what's not taken in consideration is that Sandra Bullock is not a spring chicken. She's been acting in some pretty substantial films that have gotten acclaim, and acted alongside some of the best actors. And I believe she has an Academy Award. Does she have an Academy Award?
Unless we not forget, John Malkovich is
Come
in
on,
it.
now.
There's literally
Wong, come on.
Being John Malkovich, this man was so iconic in a manner of speaking. He had his own movie. How many people have a movie about themselves while they're still alive?
Right. There you go.
Well,
there you go.
Well, you know what? I mean, there was real star power in there. But the question I didn't see a Business Insider answer for me was how many of those people are on shared accounts, because how many people are like, hold on, hey, you got to log off so I can watch my Netflix now.
Right. Yeah. Right. How many people was like, hey, Netflix said I can use up to 5 devices, so hey, my cousin don't got it, but he needs to see this, or my girl, she over here, yeah, because there's definitely some Netflix sharing that happens that doesn't account for actual people reach. That's just user accounts that have viewed it,
right.
And then how many people had 10 people over their house watching it at the same time?
Well, I know that was like my family this Christmas, and this was we saw it before the hype, and it was just on. Oh shoot, it's a movie with Sandra Bullock in it. You want to see it? Didn't even need to see the. How Netflix does you see the little trailer and all that. Now it was like nah, Sandra Bullock's in it. We hitting play. We gonna watch this.
Right.
Good, bad, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right. We about to figure this out though. That's it. Now, what I find interesting about Netflix metrics, analytics, and things like that is, one, I put them in line with most like streaming services and things like that. I don't put them in line with like big production companies or with box offices and things like that. So I don't think they necessarily have to lend themselves to the certain level of transparency on every film, but I do feel like when they have a record-breaking moment, it makes sense to say something.
You should talk about it, right?
You want to talk about it. Like if you're in practice and you have a good heat, like say you're running and practicing for the Olympics, and you have a good heat. Like Usain Bolt probably broke the world record in practice, but it didn't matter till it was time for the Olympics. He didn't go, hey, I broke the world record in practice today. You know what I mean? Like there's some stuff that may happen that just we're gonna leave that where it is. And when something takes the main stage is when you actually say, hey, this is why we want to talk about it. So not every movie on Netflix does as well as Bird Box did, or as what is it, the Boys I Used to Love or something, the other one with the girl that had all the relationships or bouncing back and forth between the guys she liked, all that stuff. So not everything's going to get reported. They're like, well, this other movie was up for an Oscar, and they didn't tell the metrics on that because maybe they weren't as good, and you guys are just basing it off the fact that the movie was quality, not that there was a bunch of people watching it. There's a difference, right?
Right.
So, let's keep everything within that context. And again, I don't feel like Netflix has to have that same level of transparency with everything, but with the important stuff, it's good to know that records are being broken on their platform, even when it seems like it's run of the mill that just millions of people would constantly be watching stuff. And also Netflix control the audience too, so they can put that movie at the top of your feed the minute you click on. And when you hop on Netflix, 9 times out of 10, I feel like most people don't go on Netflix to watch something specific. I think they go on to see what's up, or what's new, or what's something they maybe haven't seen. And if Netflix puts Sandra Bullock and Bird Box and right in front of you the moment you click on, you're like, I know I haven't watched that. Click.
Word. That was me. They got me. That was me. They got me. Like, yo.
Right.
I was that.
Exactly.
I was that person. And then whoever did the breakdown on the average box office sale is $9.14 against however many people watch it on Netflix would have equal 411 million, making it gross more than a Star Wars film. Like come on, like stop it, like cut it out. That's actually ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. We know 45 million people wouldn't have come out to watch that movie in the theater the first week. We know that because there's too many obstacles, scheduling, right? Price. If I'm already paying my $9.99, $7.99, depending on what level you're at, in Netflix or whatever, because I think I pay $9.99. Like you already paid more than a little bit more than what the average ticket cost is, but you get access to all the movies. So that makes it easy from a price barrier perspective. And then it's from the comfort of your own home, phone, or while you're in the back of an automobile or something, automobile. I feel like I'm automobile. But it's too easy to access the content now. So that's not even a feasible, let alone fair metric to be like, well, it wouldn't have happened if it's this. Well, no crap. You can't have a football team with football players on a football field, and then want to have a football official officiate the game and tell them they're breaking the rules. Like, tackling's allowed in football, but it's not allowed in soccer, right? So you've got to realize what game you're actually playing and who should actually be calling the shots on the field. And I feel like the industry may not be paying full attention to that, and they're waiting to get blockbustered.
Right, word up. And another thing they're not taking into consideration is the marketing budget that goes behind some of these big films. Like, not for nothing. Like, to your point of, Bird Box. Like, Bird Box doesn't have like $100 million marketing budget.
Right.
And that's not to say that a Sandra Bullock film shouldn't get that, but they just,
it doesn't have
because
to have
of
that.
who, right? Because the audience is there.
Right.
They just use their discretion on whether or not they want to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, the industry is either going to change or die. Even the fact that, with all the outreach for that movie, if it's not played in a theater, right? I think that was a direct to Blockbuster. If it's not played in a theater,
it was in select theaters, which is something.
So it could get awards, and that's the only reason they do that now.
Yep.
So they can get the awards, and that's Bella.
They just want to be eligible. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think the industry is going to have to say, hold on, because now anybody can get in a theater. I can buy out a theater for a weekend, and I have to do that just to say it was a good movie.
Right. What metric is that? Where now you're pushing that side of the industry just nowadays you're pushing it out of necessity, whereas before it used to be like a status symbol for your movie, but now you can reach more people online, like Netflix did, than by putting it in the theaters. You have more reach and more access to your actual audience in that way. So they put it in the theater, but it really wasn't. They didn't market it like that when they put it in the theater. They marketed it on their platform. That because they knew that's predominantly where the views and where the audience was going to come from, and they have control over it. So the marketing budget didn't need to be anything. Smart dollars, smart dollars.
Right. Right. Word up. Like a press run at best. You know what I mean?
And which was going to be a natural thing anyways, based on the actors and actresses that you had in the movie, i.e. Sandra Bullock, John Malkovich, Lil Rel Howery. I always mess up his last name. And then who's the dude from
Machine Gun?
Was it Moon? Oh yeah, MGK, Machine Gun Kelly was up in there being a hooligan. Being a hooligan? Like that man's role in the movie ain't changed. Jeez. He could have been, he could have been the misinterpreted Heart of Gold guy, but nah, he ended up being a thief, a hooligan,
right?
Straight like that.
Being a rap devil that he says he is, being a rap devil.
He ran off with a daughter.
I want to know what happened to them.
Yeah, that needs to be a little like a bonus feature or something. Like, hey, this is Bird Box bonus features, and it's MGK and the chick that he ran off with. Like, what did they get into? What happened to them? Because I almost felt like he was a little crazy, so he might have been all right.
Right, word up.
Okay.
In real life, and him and Marshall Mathers meet up somewhere down the line with Kim. Like, and we could rewrite that whole thing right now.
Yeah, you're funny. You're funny.
Speaking of funny and maybe not so funny, when you kicked off the synopsis of the film, I think given and this could be me just kind of reading between the lines a little bit, Bird Box could be a whole other film given some other contextual stuff like time period. Could you imagine Bird Box as like a pre-Civil War abolitionist movie, leading slaves to the North?
Wow. Yeah.
And their faith is what guides them to the promised land, yo.
Right. Which is that I don't even know if that would be a like a what genre is this? Like a sci-fi thriller? It would have just been time relevant. Like they literally there's stories of like Harriet Tubman guiding slaves, and it's like, listen, you got to put this blindfold on because I'm not about to show you the way that we're going in case you get scared and turn back and tell them exactly which way we take. So you got to put this on, and she had them at gunpoint. You feel me? Like so. It almost is like, well, it wouldn't have been so post-apocalyptic. That just would have been what the story, how the era went. Like, it wouldn't have even been anything crazy.
Yo, Netflix, if you're listening, let's talk about the prequel. Let's talk about the prequel.
Right. Tubman.
Talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Tubman, the last airbender. That would have been it. Now the other side of it is since we're on the subject of like slaves and time periods and stuff like that, is what this represents for now. Because there's a lot of, I mean, Kel, it seems like Kel stands by. Hey, it was a good movie, but I'll say my dad taught me this, which was even when you're watching something for enjoyment, just so you're not wasting time, try to find meaning. So I feel like if you watch this movie for enjoyment, at the same time, now turn around and let's look at it for like what meaning can be derived from it, applied to our life, applied to the time that we're living in, and how that reflects either society the way that it is, or society the way that it's heading, or society the way that it's been. How do we make those connections? And there's a lot of great connections out there, but AL definitely hits the nail on the head with some. I know we had a discussion off air about it, so
Yeah. To me, I mean, with all the deep meanings and everything that folks, because I watched some of the YouTube videos, I'm like, dang, she had a blue coat, handed a blue bag. I didn't even notice all that. Maybe I'm not that deep. I'm a shallow water. But what came to mind to me was we better get right. Isaiah 55:7. Repent. You better repent and get right. It's a weird moment, man. If that really started happening right now, there's nothing that we can do but keep pushing. But those are real times. Like if you think like if you were in the Middle East right now, if you were in certain parts of Africa or Asia or whatnot, like things happen like that. We're kind of spoiled on this end where massive people don't get murdered. So even when there's 100 people who get murdered, oh my gosh, I can't believe, or maybe 1,000 people are shocked. But some folks got to really live that. Ask the Amazonia, in Cameroon right now, cats end up dead every day. And at any point it could get like that. So you better be right. And for all those folks say, hey, there's no heaven and hell, then you ain't got nothing to worry about. It's gonna be average. I mean, you're gonna still be doing what you do if there's no heaven and hell. But for those who believe that there is, you better get right so you can be at the right side of it. I know some folks want to be in hell, but but they don't know what they're signing up for.
Now, so now there's a tie-in for what you're talking about, which is the repent side of it, the religious side of it, or spiritual side of it, maybe, where it says the eyes are the window to the soul, which is why seeing is so important to the entity, right? Why they're always like, see it, look at it, it's so beautiful. The people that killed themselves from seeing the entity had so much baggage buried deep in their souls, i.e. they didn't repent for it yet, that they couldn't handle being confronted by it, right? Then only the mentally ill could see the entity and not die. That's because what the world deems as crazy isn't always true. These are people who deal with their demons daily. And these people who deal with their demons daily finally had the chance to make other people understand what they've been seeing by forcing them to see. Like, so we face our demons every day. We see them all the time. You haven't seen yours, but now I need you to open up and see your demons and be able to face them. And some people handle it and some people couldn't, right? And then you have you have to be careful what you give attention to, because your spirit can be tainted by what you watch. So there's that aspect. And then 4, walk by faith, not by sight. Sometimes it's best to enter a situation blind because it allows you to strengthen your other senses about the scenario. So if you just go with what looks good, you just go with what other people say looks good or should be good, you lose your other senses about feeling, like the vibe you may get in a situation or the touch of something, right? Like putting your hand in a box. You're like, I know that feeling. But someone's like, oh no, look, but the box outside is so pretty. Just go ahead, put your hand in. And there's a piranha up in the box. You know what I mean? Like, and then don't trust everything you hear. The closer you are to your destination, the louder the opposition will be. So the closer you get to your goal or the thing that you're supposed to be doing, and in this scenario, it seems like it would be salvation in a manner of speaking, then that's when the demons and that's when the bad stuff is really going to try to attack, because you're so close. They're like, oh man, we gotta pull out all the stops now, because if not, they're going to make it. And then the last thing is, it's okay to let people in. We all need support in times of trouble, but don't be naive and pay attention to the signs around you, right? So, they were always debating letting people in, like, hey, we're not going to let this person in. We let in one person in, and then that person let down their guard because they knew they were good. So they let the next person in who seemed like they were good, because they were like, well, y'all did it for me, and I felt like we should, return the favor. And then that person, even with all the signs that, Douglas, played by John Malkovich, he was like, nah, this dude's not. Yeah, right. He was like, nah, get him out, because this dude something's not right. And ultimately they let dude stay in, and he was the one that ended up wreaking the havoc. Took out almost the whole house. that man was on a mission. Woo.
But you know what that goes that. Yeah, everything you said was so right, about how people how we see things, especially in a social media arena where you can post yourself in a luxury car and now everyone wants to be your friend, or you can do something, spectacular and everyone's, hey, great. But last week when you were saying, hey, I was at the soup kitchen, no one cared. When you say I'm trying to raise money on my birthday on a charity, no one cares. But then, you're living a luxurious life, even if it's just for 15 minutes, while outside of, a fancy place, and it's not even your car. Everyone's like, oh, wow, nice car. Or if you're single and you put one of those people who put a ribbon on your car and act like someone gave you a birthday gift and say birthday to me, like who gets a ribbon for themselves for their car? Like, drive the damn car. But all that is so true. And I just think about when you said that, how all this stuff is in vain, because when you go out, no one knows if you're wearing knockoffs or not. And no one, a nice shoe is a nice shoe, and a nice shirt is a nice shirt, and no one's looking at your tags like this is elementary and saying, hey, this is Payless or whatever. These are Pro Wings, and no one cares. But it also goes into the side of when John Malkovich was like, don't let anyone else in. That's America right there. Don't let anybody else in. I've got it pretty good right now, and I'm not trying to share that with anybody.
Right.
And,
Wow. On point, Joe. On point.
Yeah. So it because we could all be guilty of it. I mean, we could talk about, hey, we want justice for all, but hey, man, after my tribe gets in, I'm fighting to trying to keep what we have, and that's just human nature, because it's always you and your nation versus the world. Then it's the world. It's the family versus family, and tribes versus tribes, and brother versus brother. And so it's just interesting. But the movie is deep on so many levels.
No, true that. I know speaking of social media, to your point, Kel, like the memes, they were, oh my goodness, the internet is undefeated. I tell you, oh my goodness. Like, yeah, could Could you imagine? I don't know if you this one, Kel, but people had some memes going around with Beyonce and Kanye West whispering to people and people getting thrown off and kind of getting whisked away by evil.
I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
the Beyonce one was actually kind of funny though. Beyonce was, I could see a lot of people getting caught up by Beyonce.
By Beyonce, yeah. Now the other side. So that touches a little bit on the faith pitch of Bird Box, which there's also there's some other things that go along with the faith side of it, because the birds in the box represent the Holy Spirit or discernment, right? Because they were the warning for people that were not close, and they became agitated when they came around. And in this season, you have to know what God said. That's kind of the pitch there. You can't listen to every voice. You're going to have to ignore false accusations, lies, jealousy, rejection, and misunderstandings. But the other pitch of it is mental health gets in there, and the touch of it on mental health, which is again one of the 8 qualifiers of diversity, right? Ability. There was talk about the mental health that plagues people dealing it, and people that had suicidal thoughts and seeing images and hearing voices, etc., and how society is blinded or blind to those that are suffering and facing it. And then the people from the mental hospital that weren't affected because this is their life, like kind of every day. This is what they deal with, right? And the open your eyes and see it is symbolic to the walk a mile in my shoes, so you understand where I'm coming from type of thing. And when they struggle to get to the place like the sanctuary of places, right? My thing was that it's funny that they fought the whole time. They stayed in the environment where the crazy people were the whole time, or like the people that were trying to kill them or make them see the light and kill themselves, that they stayed in that environment for years. Obviously, she was pregnant at the beginning of this thing and then had full-grown kids that could make their own decisions by the time she decided to go to the sanctuary. So they were out there, surviving and making a way through what was the post-apocalyptic world, and they acted like they were of it, right? Oh yeah, we're cool with what's going on. We're just gonna, wade through and survive. But in the end, they end up in a situation with, and spoiler alert, stop here, but blind people were the ones that were not affected. So the people that weren't paying attention to it the whole time are the ones that weren't affected. And this is the mental health spin, but I feel like you can plug in any marginalized group in there, and it's like, well, the people that are blind to racism, we have people that will then play the fence and be like, oh yeah, racism is bad, blah, 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 just to navigate and survive through this era where diversity seems to be, the flavor of the era. And peep that episode plug. But that now they're looking at it and they're like, yep, this is how I get through. But then once they get in a situation where they're around other people who are blind to it, they take the blindfold off and like, yeah, I'm just like y'all. I'm the same as you now. We're both in the same sanctuary, even though I was out there pretending that I got what they were going through and their struggles and suffering. And again, this applies to any marginalized person, but specifically since I'm a black male, I'm just going to speak to that side of it, is the people who pretend to sympathize with racism, but still go and act in racist ways when they're in a community where they're with other blind people. Yeah, I really don't get why that was such a big deal.
You said that nice. I would have said if I was the blind folks, I'd be like, y'all can't come nowhere. We would have been doing all type of posting on TV. I mean, sea walking, everything. You said that real nice, but
that's I mean, that's what ends up happening. They end up with other blind people, other people that were and to make the parallel is the people that are blind to racism. Racism doesn't exist. Sexism doesn't exist. all these things that people are facing that are their struggles don't exist, i.e. mental illness, all that. They're crazy. That doesn't exist. They know it doesn't exist, but they're just acting like that, and they're dismissive of the troubles of other people. And in this scenario, it was easy to be dismissive to the people that were already blind because they never paid attention to it anyways. They couldn't, not in this scenario they couldn't, but in our society, people don't want to, right? They don't even want to be bothered with racism or mental illness or things like that in a lot of cases. And then the other people that are seeming to be bothered by it sometimes are wolves in sheep's clothing. They're pretending to care about the cause until they can get to the promised land where they don't have to look at it anymore. I care about bad schools until I can move to an area that has a good school system, and then I no longer fight for school systems anymore. That type of thing.
Well, you bring up an interesting point, because I don't know if it was just me, but did anybody else find it peculiar that the guy with the most faith was the one that got killed? Tom, sorry, spoiler alert, my bad.
Oh yeah, yep.
Tom had the most faith.
Mm-hmm. And doesn't make it to the promised land.
Doesn't make it to the promised land.
that was by choice, and you could take it deeper and say he was a sacrificial lamb for the good old white woman, like Uncle Ruckus would say, that good old.
You better go ahead and right. You better go ahead and give it up for the white woman. You better go ahead and protect them y'all. Mm-hmm. Why you even think your life is worth more? Like, that's how now. And I was gonna bring up Lil Rel, and in this scenario, Charlie, who, which again, this speaks to intelligence within minorities. He was writing a book that was similar to what was going on, but he only worked at a grocery store. But he was an author. He wrote a book, and he was like, "Oh, you guys got to read this because this is like in my book." And everyone was so dismissive of his knowledge that he was trying to bring to the table. But the minute that they found out he had the keys to the supermarket, they were his best friend. They were Charlie's best friend. But when he was trying to give knowledge and game of how to try to survive this, nobody wanted to hear it. When he said, "I'm not going because that's going to lead to death," nobody wanted to. They said, "Nah, Charlie, you getting in the car. Like, you getting in the car, too."
We about to get this food. We about to get
right. Then they wanted Charlie all hands on deck. He became valuable. And then they didn't appreciate him until after he was dead. Then when the dude made the joke about that's one novel I'm not going to read, spoiler alert, sorry. But like when he made that joke, all of a sudden everyone was offended. But when he was trying to get y'all to read the novel, no one was like, "Hey, why aren't you guys reading Charlie's novel?" He's trying to like, "Oh, that's so rude. We have nothing else to do. Why wouldn't we read it?" Like,
right?
No one was offended then. And then, so that leads me to the small little thing there about black intelligence and knowledge. It's like we can have it and want to give it, but it will be dismissed in turn for resources. I don't really need to know what you know. Oh, but you can do this? Oh, well, I want you to do that work, though. I want you to open up that grocery store. I want you to carry those goods. I want you to protect us when Fish Fingers comes busting through the door. And this floored me to no end. How is it that Doug was standing there with a shotgun? Another spoiler alert. How are you going to stand there with a shotgun, which was brought for the purposes of killing other people who may be trying to attack them? And then when someone actually tries to attack them through a door, you don't use the shotgun and let just Charlie decides to just bum rush the door. And the thing is, they waited for Charlie too. Wasn't nobody else doing nothing. They was like, "All right, so Charlie, this is your story. You know the dude, so you gonna bum rush the door, or are you just gonna let us push on it?" And he said, "Oh man," like that's how you knew they gave him the look in the movie, because he said, "Oh man," and he just ran and did it. Why didn't Doug shoot? That's why you brought the rifle, Doug.
Word.
But again, being, and I call it needless heroism. I was like, this is literally the time not to be a hero. You have every reason to just be like, "Doug, shoot." Like, hello. Just shoot him. He's obviously trying to kill us. Shoot him. And he just went and was the needless hero. But again, to save who? Like, not that I'm saying, life isn't precious, but you did that needlessly to save the very white people who had rejected your theory about your novel. The very people who forced you to come to the situation where you knew you were like, "Nah, I'm not gonna go because I know I'm gonna die." Like, he was at the table like, no, if I go, I know this is going to happen, so I'm just going to stay here, and y'all, I'll give you the keys, I'll draw you a map. Like, he was like, I will draw you a map. I will make sure you have all the directions to get there. But they still forced him to come, and then he ends up being the one forced to die needlessly when there's a rifle there. So, you know, just think about how that reflects in the real world, where we get rejected so much, and then we get 1 ounce of acceptance, and then we're all in ready to die for the cause that never cared about our cause.
Right. Word up.
You know.
Yeah. That's real. But that almost has me think. Okay, the black guys were the heroes, and the other minority, the gay Asian dude, he had to be the hero. I would have had John Malkovich looking at those camera things.
Right.
Like, it's my house, you know. I'm
not
sacrificial.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's, man, and I forgot about. And remember, John had the issue with them because they wanted to build,
them.
Yeah. He
had an issue with them being he had the issue with the house and their lifestyle, something that both he could have shut his blinds to. But he only complained openly about one, even though you could feel the tension of his disapproval of their lifestyle also drove him to feel the power to complain about what they were going to architecturally do on their property.
Right.
Yeah, because he had to look at it.
Right, because I had to look at it. AKA, I had to see them kiss. I had to know that they were doing this next to me, and the symbolism was going to be them erecting this. What was it going to be? A greenhouse or an atrium or something? And now I was going to have to look at that too, and it was going to be, emboldened in my mind now, because I would have to look at it. Like the subliminals there is what we talk about oftentimes, where people are like, oh no, it wasn't racism. They said that, they didn't let him get the job because he was overqualified, or they didn't let him get the job because, they were looking for someone that had a college degree, even though he has 12 years of experience in the field. Or different. Oh no, it was a college degree. Like a lot of times, racism, sexism, genderism, whatever, the isms, any ism hides itself in regulation. I'm going to use the rules to execute and show my disapproval of you, so that way I don't have to say what my actual issue is. He could have just been like, yeah, I don't like them because they're gay, so I just didn't want to let them put anything on their property in hopes that maybe they would move if they couldn't do what they wanted here.
Or just to make them be uncomfortable and show that you have some control, which is a white supremacist type mindset where I can control you, and it's crazy how they try to do that, to the point where I had hired someone to do a quick little job and the girl, and I asked her if she'd come on. She got to, talk to her wife about this and all this stuff. But she was like, thank you for being so respectful. She's like, I've had people find out my wife and this and that and not want to hire me. I said, in 2019? Somebody, I mean, this is a job that you can do, and that you're doing it at a very discounted rate and whatever, and only you can do it at this moment. And they were tripping off that, and it goes back to, okay, whether someone, whatever they are, can the job be done by them or not? And you don't have to sleep with the person to hire the person. I feel like, when people say, we need a president who we can have a beer with. So now Elizabeth Warren isn't a good candidate, just like Hillary wasn't, because you can't have a beer with her. What if she don't like beer? What if she likes, a 707 and likes something a little harder, and you can't keep up? You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to have a beer. You don't have to sleep with someone for someone to get the job done. I know she can do as good a job, if not better, than this fool in office right now. Right.
So 5.
Who's a megalomaniac to the to the 10th degree.
Right. That floors me on so many levels there, because you're preaching what I always say. Can you do the job? Like, that's all I care about. And then when you look at, say, like, this is going to be off subject, but look at the wall situation. I just want to say real quick, I thought the promise was that Mexico was going to pay for it. So why is he punishing United States citizens? Just a thought. I'm just throwing it out there in the air. I don't know if anyone listening wants to think about that and get back to us. And if you're a Trump supporter, I want you to think about that and get back to me about why are we punishing the United States and government shutdowns and things like that to pay for a wall that your president, and he's mine as well, even though whether I approve or not, why his pitch was Mexico's about to pay for it because he's the greatest negotiator and could get anything done. So why are we, the United States citizens and people, paying for it and being punished for it not being paid for by us? Just let me know. I just want to know. Throwing it out in the air.
Man, there's so much in that. I almost wanna say it, but it would I mean, so when you have a limited IQ and that your ego is bigger than your intelligence and you know it, or maybe bigger than anything on your body, I mean,
Trumpito.
Yeah, the thing that Mexico is going to pay for, when many Mexicans are like, hey, man, these are these other Central Americans and Southern Americans who want to come. We're cool, many of them. They've stopped coming in droves. I think like last year or the year before, 1 million of them went back. It's the other folks coming. And so how are you going to make them pay for something that Mexicans, if you ever, I've trained in El Paso, and those cats will live in Mexico. White folks live in Mexico and come back every day, go back and forth because it's a game.
Right.
So it ain't the Mexicans. You might need to say, hey, man, these Honduras and other folks got to pay for it. And, they're looked down upon. But, this is just pure. Most of America is not. They don't know I think you hit on this last week, the judicial branches. They don't know just the 3 branches of government. They can't tell you who their Congress member was. So the fact that they even get to vote and have an opinion even on social media about something they're not they're not educated on is I'll go back and sound like a real redneck, a real black redneck. We got to have some IQ tests up in here.
Right. Well, and I know this does tie into Bird Box, obviously, with the keep out mentality. But the other thing I was looking at is I saw they had the GoFundMe for the wall, and at last time I had checked, it raised like $18 million or something like that. And one of my thoughts was, why are we raising so much money for this wall? And there's other things that money could be used for. And then my second thought was, why don't we just give that money to the countries that people are trying to leave from and see if we can make them better, that make people want to stay? Like, anybody think about that? Like, hey, maybe, you know what? If we really believe that so many undocumented immigrants are coming in from Central America, then why don't we just, do some beautification down there with the 18 million last I saw that was raised? Why don't we go and do some things down there to make their living situations better, where people don't feel the need to flee or leave anymore? And now I know
they don't care about you come to all the major cities, look at the homeless crisis. We don't care about our own enough, so we're definitely not going to give any money there. Thousands were spent on Christmas, and people think, because I volunteered at the soup kitchen one day out of the year that I've done something. There's so much that could be done to end hunger, which is a major problem. I just know in the city next to me, where the average income is $80,000, they still have a food program for the kids who go hungry, which is a shame, because everyone has a Tesla, but you can't get some groceries.
No, what's wild there is still that was the first point of why we're raising $18 million for the wall, but like you guys don't want to feed the people in our country. You don't want to help others get on their feet. You know what I mean? Like that's literally, if you raise $50 million, $1 million for each state, and if you wanted to go 51 million and pop up for 1 million for Puerto Rico, if you gave $1 million to each state and said, hey, listen, we want to buy a couple of your rundown houses and make them safe houses or something like that for people that are out in the streets, like that would be radical change. and improve our society. You know what I mean? But no, we want to build a wall like that. What is that wall gonna actually do to help the people that live here? What is it actually gonna do?
You know what that wall's gonna do when this thing becomes Bird Box? It's gonna help the rest of the world not get contaminated by that ignorance. You have to climb over your own wall. That's when it's gonna be sweet and funny. And I'm gonna be on YouTube, God willing, live streaming, saying repent because you were warned and you thought you knew everything, just like Rome, just like every other empire. And now you're trying to climb over your own wall, you know, gnashing of the teeth at your and all type of other calamities that are coming. Yep. So, you know, it's just stupid. 18 million. I didn't see that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I think word is it got even higher than that. Some people are saying they got to like $500,000. I haven't confirmed it, so I don't want to say it as fact, but I know when I looked, they were close to 18 million, like 17 something. So, you know, just throwing it out there. So if anyone has an update on that, please feel free to let us know via any of our social media platforms or shoot an email or whatever, at Game Diversified. Just find us and be like, yeah, actually, the last count is, you know, $500,000. So you're correct or whatever. But yeah, we got off a little bit. But you know, diving back into the movie, I feel like it really did become one of those insert marginalized people here, and that's how they would feel. And I feel that may be part of the reason why this movie actually got seen by so many people, is because it's like a song that anyone can listen to and find the meaning in it for their own life. You know, even if you're a straight white male in society, you could find yourself being like, well, people are blind to my issues, right? Like, I worry about being Me Too'd, or I worry about, you know, am I saying the right things, or does this come off as racist? And now I'm navigating through the world with this blindfold on, just looking for my safe haven. Like, even the person that we believe is the oppressor in this scenario could find themselves in this movie feeling like they were Sandra Bullock, which that may actually be a good thing. Like, you actually saw yourself in a white female. You saw yourself in a black male that sacrificed himself for the survival of their kids. Because if you ask most white supremacists, what are they doing it for? So that it's to keep the white race pure and not face racial genocide, right? So maybe they feel like that. Like, I'm doing everything I can to protect my next generation, i.e. Sandra Bullock. Like, you know, one of us is going to have to look, and then ultimately goes, well, all right, no one's going to look. You know what I mean? Like, dang, I can't sacrifice the next generation because I don't even know if this place is real yet, you know, so let's try to keep everyone safe. And which, side note, that little girl is a champ, by the way. If no one caught that little girl is a champ, because the son, who's actually Sandra Bullock's son, he didn't get out the boat when the rope got tugged, or, you know, something seemed a little wrong. The little girl was like, yo, I think she's in danger. I'm getting out the boat.
Right.
Like, the little girl, not the boy that was actually her son, and they're the same age. She got out the boat. Then when Sandra Bullock's son was in the thing, she said, I'm going to pick who goes. And the boy was like, all right, you know what, I'll look. And Sandra said no, because, of course, she was having the mother battle. One of these children is really my kids. You know, one of these children is really my kid, and the other one isn't. So if I'm going to sacrifice one, it's probably going to be the one who's not mine. But I did make a promise to her mother that I would protect her, and this is blatantly putting her in danger. The little girl, again, camped up and was like, I'm not even going to try to make you make this hard decision, because I know you're not my mom.
No.
Like, I feel like she knew.
Right, word.
So, you know what? I'll look. It's fine. And you know what I mean? And it's seeing that courage from her that made Sandra Bullock go, dang, man, my son is, God, this is the second time this little boy done bitched out. You know what I mean? Like this little girl is really about that life, and my son is straight dub. Like, you know what? Dang, I gotta protect my son. She's gonna be all right. Like, no one's looking. We just about to do this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but that's what I was thinking about when I saw some of that stuff happening with the little girl. I'm like, this little girl is really about that life. She's like, like I'm whatever it takes. And but back to the thing. So insert marginalized person, and so I feel like a lot of people who feel like they're marginalized, whether they are or aren't, they could see themselves in characters that weren't themselves, right? Because when you watch the movie, a lot of people looked at Douglas, which represents probably like the stereotypical white male mindset, and they were like, man, wow, that guy's such a douche. Like, he's not, not a good character. So no one really wanted to associate themselves with him, right? But to some people, we may be him. No matter what we believe we are, to someone, we're probably Douglas. To someone, we're probably Charlie. To someone, we're Tom. To someone, we're Sandra Bullock. To someone, we're Olympia. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, so at different moments in the movie, I felt like you could connect with other characters. Or like Kellen said, some scenarios, we are Douglas, where we're like, nah, don't let that person in. This is dangerous. Because when I saw homeboy Gary, I was with Doug. I was like, yeah, yo, Gary got to go. Like, no, I was right there. Matter of fact, I was watching on the couch, and I actually put my arms up in shotgun position. When I was like, nah, Gary. I was like, nah, Gary, you got to go. Like, you heard what I said. It was nice meeting you. There's the door. You got 10. Like, and then I was about to send Olympia out there with him, too. Like, don't you be letting random mugs in the house. You got to go, So I felt like at different moments you could kind of see yourself in different characters' positions, and maybe that is what something that society needed. Put yourself in this person's shoes real quick in this scenario and see that you actually connect with someone who's not like you more than you think when the chips are down.
Right.
So I think that was kind of a clever and good thing, whether it was intentional or not. Kel, I hit the cue on you with I don't know what, but it was just a good movie. Maybe it was just a good movie, or maybe they had another agenda with it. We may not really ever know, depending on if the director and writer want to come out and say something on that. But maybe the myth is better than the truth sometimes.
Yeah, and AL and we'll let AL, because I'm still tripping how you were giving praise to the little girl. I thought she should have got a beating. Now listen,
right? Well, see, that's the other perspective. Like, that's the parent perspective. Because I was mad at her for not listening too, but at the same time, I was like, I looked at the scenario and I'm like, if you were in trouble, that's how you show love, right? If you told your loved one to stay put, you would want them to stay put to protect them because you're thinking about them. But on the flip side, if they loved you and cared about you, if they thought you were in danger, they would probably come running. You know what I mean? So it's like, dang, you should have listened, little girl. But at the same time, look at the balls on you. Go, girl. Like, you 5,
right,
and you were really about to go out there and be like, I've never been in this terrain. I'm blindfolded, and I'm really about to go out here and help this grown woman. Like, whatever's killing that grown woman probably going to get you, too. But you was just like, you know what? I can't lose her. I need her.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of both. But again, you saw yourself on Sandra Bullock's perspective when she came back and was like, I can't trust you.
That's Tom. That was Tom's daughter.
Yeah,
that's
Tom's
daughter.
That's Tom's daughter. Like, yo, I gotta do what I gotta do, to save. And also, that was probably a little bit of Olympia in her too, because Olympia, again, opening up the door, not listening to nobody, because she's trying to do the thing that she feels is the most nice thing or the most loving thing to do, which was let another human being in away from the safety. Because, again, she said, I remember when I was outside and you guys let me in. Like, that was, and how I felt. Like, so I just wanted, she has empathy to, like, the umpteenth degree, and sympathy. So her daughter probably has the same thing built in. Combine that with Tom's personality and semi-raising the kids. And Sandra Bullock didn't even want to give the kids names.
Right, terrible.
She didn't want to catch that attachment, and all of a sudden, but then again, like Tom said, the kids need love. Like, even if they die, like, the kids need to feel loved. Anyways, that's my thing. But yeah, good movie though, Kel. You are correct. It is a good movie, but
yeah, good movie. Yeah,
it gets a lot more interesting when you start, looking and deep diving for the deeper meaning in some things.
Right, word up.
Yeah, for real too.
So yeah, I guess that's our hot take on this week's current game. And yeah, thanks so much.
So I think this is a good place to stop our dialogue for this episode and allow you, the listeners, to join the conversation and keep the dialogue going with us online.
You can do so by visiting our social media at Facebook, Diversified Game Podcast, on Instagram and Twitter, Game Diversified, online, diversifiedgame.com. In your life with the people around you, and or join our Patreon and get some nice perks for being involved.
If you found a nugget and or liked today's episode, you might as well leave a review. And if you leave a review, you might as well share it. If you share it, you might as well subscribe. And as always, thanks for your support.
Thanks for getting in the game and listening to the Diversified Game Podcast with Kellen, Tyson, and AL. The #1 show pairing entrepreneurship with diverse and inclusive perspectives like wine and cheese, bagel and lox, fish and grits. Be sure to visit diversifiedgame.com for all the good stuff. Join in the conversation and discover more content.